What's up, family? This is Monty B. Listen, do me a favor, click and share this video very quickly, if you can. If not, I guess I just talked to whoever's online, right? Right. All right, so I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I think I have not done a live now since early December, but I do want to say Happy New Year to each and every one of you, and to say that I hope that this year for you is filled with lots of love, lots of fun, lots of excitement, and lots of grace, right? So I thought I would do a live only because I'm trying to check out my new tripod stand that I have for live shoot, right? And to just dive into a topic that I think is so important for me. And I'll jump into that a little bit later. So, but when I thought about this year, I thought about this thing 2020. You know, maybe I do like all the other preachers do, talk about the significance of numbers and 2020, perfect vision, and all of that. But, you know, I thought about that when I was talking to my staff yesterday about this idea of vision. And when I started looking at 2020, you know, all the research and all science, medical doctors or optometrists, they'll tell you that 2020 is what you consider perfect vision. But the more you look into it, they tell you that you can have 20/20 vision, and that may mean you can see things perfectly from 20 feet away, but you can still have 20/20 vision and not see what's in front of you 5 feet, right? And so I thought about that as it relates to vision and sight, and that there's a big difference. Some people look at sight and vision and think they're synonymous, and then sometimes they are, but synonymous and vision are not the same. Sight and vision not the same. Sight is the ability to see what's in front of you, but vision is the ability to see beyond what you see. Does that make sense? And so when I think about that, I was asking my faculty and staff yesterday, what is your vision for the students you teach? What is your vision for your classroom? What is your vision for you as a teacher? What do you see beyond what you see? In other words, when children walk into our classrooms, or when you go to your job and you see your coworkers, or you see customers or employees, what do you see when you see them? I mean, are you only seeing what's right in front of you, or do you have the ability or the mental acumen to go beyond what's in front of you, or what's ahead of you, or what's before you? Are you gifted and skilled and talented enough to go deeper? I hope that makes sense. I was listening to a minister preach the other day, and he talked about giftedness and passion, and he talks about how often we mistake giftedness with passion, and we think because somebody is gifted, that means that then they could do a job or they could do a task, and they probably can, but they won't do it at the same level as someone who's gifted and passionate about it. So how does all that tie into what I'm talking about with vision? Well, I think that in order to see beyond where you are, or be able to see beyond where your team is, or your coworkers are, your students are, you have to not only have gifting, but you have to be passionate about the people you serve and the people you love. I asked my teachers, number one, I said, are you fired up about the students in your classroom? I got that from Baruti Kafele, Principal Kafele. He asked this question. He says that, you know, are you fired up about the people you serve? Are you fired up about the students in your classroom? Are they fired up about you? Are they fired up about learning from you? And see, and that can't happen unless you have a vision for them. Do you have a vision for the people you serve? Pastors, do you have a vision for your church? I'm not talking about what you paint on the wall or what you hang up outside the corridors and in the hallway. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you have a vision? Do you have a personal vision about what you hope each individual person in your church achieve? Do you have that vision? Not about your vision for your church. Is the church going to be bigger? Is the church going to have more members? Or are you going to baptize more people? I'm not talking about that. What is your vision for the people who you have under your care? Same thing for all bosses and all leaders. What is your vision for the people you lead? And is that vision more about you, or is it more about them? So when I think about that, about leadership altogether, sometimes we have vision, and the vision more about us, or more about organization, and we forget that organizations don't move without people. Organizations don't grow without people. As a matter of fact, what makes an organization what it is the fact that it's a living, breathing organism. And does that make sense? And so, in other words, that when we forget about the people, when we forget about those we're leading, or those we're serving, or those we're educating, then our vision becomes disconnected. I hope that makes sense. And I keep saying I hope that makes sense, or maybe somebody on here will say, I got you. It makes sense to me. So in light of what I was talking about, vision and sight, is that people who have sight, they look for immediate gratification. They want They want change immediately. They want results immediately. They want to make sure that children are acting right immediately. Listen, let me tell you, most children that we teach, I'm in middle school now, and I said the same thing when I was at elementary, same thing I was at high school. Most of the kids we have in our schools, in our classroom, they come to us with a whole bunch of stuff that they've gotten their entire lives. They've learned from other people. They'll learn from the environment. They've learned from churches. They'll learn from pastors. They've learned from friends. And so you cannot undo what they've learned their entire lives in one day. Does that make sense? So when you try to approach it that way, you try to say, I want to get it all in one day, that's limiting children and that's limiting what they can be and what they can become, because you're only a sight-based leader. Does that make sense? You're leading by mere sight and not vision. Vision looks at it this way, is that I paint this picture of what I believe you can become. I'm going to communicate that vision to you. I'm going to tell you what I believe about you. I'm going to say words of affirmation about you. You're a student seeking to be a scholar, to stand as excellence today and tomorrow. You're a leader. You're born to be so I hope I'm making sense. So when I talk about it from that, or when we look at it from that perspective, what we're saying is that, look, I believe in the very best of you. And in order to get you to the end that I believe, that I know it's going to take time. And I also believe this, that because I have a vision, I may not be there to see the full fruition or see the whole manifestation of what we believe to happen right now. But I'm going to be a seed planter. I'm going to plant seeds. And if I'm not a seed planter, I'm going to dig up ground. If I'm not digging up ground, I'm going to make sure I'm preparing soil. I'm going to water. Whatever my role is, I know that my ultimate goal is to make the vision come to pass. Write this. Watch this now. Here's what the Bible says. The Bible says, write the vision, right? You got that? Number one, write the vision. Make it plain so that they who read it can run with it. Watch this. Why is that so important? Because we've been writing vision, hoping that the vision comes to manifestation right now. The vision is made to be written for folks to understand it, to take it, and to run with it. And then watch this. The Bible said the vision won't tarry. Now that word tarry, we always think that means it comes right now. No, it means that it's going to come when it's supposed to come. God's timing is so different from our timing. It's going to come when it's supposed to come. So your job as leaders, for each individual person, I'm not talking about as a whole organization, because when you write things for a whole organization, when you have a vision for your whole organization, and nothing is wrong with that, you forget about the fact that people are different. And people have different goals and different objectives and different plans for life. God never created us all to be the same. My plan that God has for my life is significantly different from the plan he has for yours. And so God differentiates. Watch, that's an education word there. God differentiates my vision. He differentiates my goal and my plan for me. He makes it specific. He personalizes it for me. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Y'all say something to me if you. I'm gonna read some of this. Meet them where they are. That's right, Joe. You got to meet them right where they are, man. And so, but see, here's the thing. When you meet them where they are, we have to have a plan to get them to where they need to be. And our goal is to keep pushing, 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 to keep pushing. And sometimes we're not going to see what we want. It's like gardening the field, you know. It's like you like farming. When you farming and you got a plant that's growing up, you might see some weed there with it. Sometimes you let the weed grow with it. Sometimes you don't. You pluck up the weed. You keep pruning. You keep getting what you want until the results begin to manifest. Does that make sense? So I got all off where I was going. Let me get back to the point here. Vision and sight are totally different. Now, every leader has to have vision for the people he or she serves. Yeah, please understand what I just said. I said two words at once. Leader has a responsibility to serve. Now, most time we think that leader's responsibility is to lead, but I believe that that leadership rests in your ability, or leadership is best defined in your ability to serve others. So I got into this conversation with my teachers about vision and sight and about where we're going. And so I asked them, what is your vision for the students you serve? Not only that, what is your vision for you? What is your vision for yourself? Then I said, sometimes we have to look inward. As Baruta Kafele said, that we have to have self-reflection, self-assessment, right? Self-reflection and self-assessment. And he has one more, and I can't remember what the one more is right now. But that self-reflection is so key, because sometimes we look outward instead of inward. We want to say what's wrong with everybody else instead of assessing what do I need to do differently? What practices can I change? And that's my challenge for you this year as you begin to to take hold this year, and you set your New Year's goals, and all those plans you have that we're probably going to break in another week. We're going to do right for right now. So my challenge to you is to, number one, self-reflect. Think about what are some things about yourself that you need to maybe look at, to examine, to get rid of, to stop doing. What are those things? What are those things that stop you from making your vision fully manifested? Not only that, not only the things that are stopping you, what are some things that are slowing you down? The Bible says that not everything that we do is a sin. The Bible says there's some things that are just weighty. Does that make sense? The apostle tells us to lay aside every sin and every weight. There's some things in our lives that are just weighty. Who are people that you're hanging with or you're associated with that are slowing you down from getting to where you need to be? Because this stuff right here is requires reflection. And anytime you look in a mirror, it requires honesty. Paul says, though I look dimly at the mirror, one day I shall see face to face. Now we have a perfect opportunity to look at ourselves face to face and say, hey, what about me that ain't working? I know we think we got it all together. We're all that in a bag of chips, that nothing about us thinks that my grandma said, all your poop smells good. All my stuff don't smell good. Everything about us ain't right. There's some things I have to work on. Some things I have to check myself about. What's some things I have to do for me personally? I have to look and see, I need to read more. I need to study more. I need to listen more. You understand what I'm saying? There's some things I need to do about me. I need to study my word more. I need to pray more. I need to live a more fasted life. There's things that I need to do. I need to challenge myself. So when I do reflection, you start to say, hello, here's this checklist. Because sometimes what we like to do is measure ourselves against other people. But Paul says there's a standard that God set, that when you measure yourself against God's standard, Paul said when he did that for himself, he saw how short he came. So my standard can't be man. Right? Man can't be my standard. My standard has to be, what is the bar that God has set for my life? And remember, that's differentiated. And if we're not careful, we'll start judging everybody else's bar. No, look at your own life. Reflect, self-reflect. What is the standard that God has set for my life? What is the bar he put for my life? And am I working toward getting to that standard? If not, what about me I need to change? What about me I need to check? You know what I'm saying? And not only that, I talked about friends. Who are the people you're associated with that can help you check you, right? That's so important. We hang around people sometimes who validate us. I found something about myself some years ago, but I shared it with my faculty yesterday. We did a training network in Sylacauga called Emergenetics. And it's a training talking about your thinking preference and your personality, things of that nature. And I found out about me, there are 4 colors, right? One is green, which means that you're more of a structured thinker. You think structure first. You like organization. You like patterns and things of that nature. The other was blue, meaning that you're more analytical. You think data, you think money, you think all those things. You look at all that. The other 2 were red and yellow. Red means that you think people first. You're more in tune to people's feelings. You're intuitive about their feelings and things of that nature. You're social. If a party's going on, you want to know who's going to be there, how many people are going to be there, what time it's going to start, and all those things before you go. And then you got yellow. Yellow means that you're a big idea person. You think more about big ideas than anything else. Now, so when I found out about me, I'm more red, yellow. And I didn't just find it out. I knew that already. I love people and I think big ideas. Now, you can forget all that structure and data. And I love data. I can analyze things, but look, leave it alone. So what it said about me is that when dealing with people like me, you have to understand that Monty is a driver. He's going to drive you and he's going to push you to think like he thinks. So is that always good? No, it's not. So I know that about me. There's some things. So when I'm talking to people, I need to be cognizant of the fact who I am. Not that they need to know who I am. I need to be cognizant of my thinking preferences. I know that I like you to summarize things in a hurry. Don't come give me a whole story. If you got to tell me something, tell me the beginning and the end real fast. Don't give me the whole plot. I don't want to know all that. Just tell me what happened and what I need to do, right? But I need to understand that everybody who comes and meets me, not that type of thinker. So I need to be able to listen to them. I have to force myself to do it. But not only that, listen to me, folks. Listen to me. I thought about that in our classrooms, and I mentioned it to my teachers. How many students in our class are red, yellow? How many teachers are green, blue? And so we have this big disconnect that we're trying to educate people or teach people who are thinking preferences different from ours. Some people learn better by talking. Some people learn better by socializing. Some people learn better by drawing things. They need visual images. Some people like organization. Some people like data. So when we're connecting with people, right? I know I was on my first point, self-assessment, and it's a part of self-assessment. But when we're talking to people, when we're working with people, we need to be more cognizant of the fact that everybody's not like us. Everybody doesn't function or think the way we think. And because people don't think the way we think, Paul says you have to become all things to all men. So you may some men win some. Now, you're not going to win everybody, but you have to be more careful to think about who you are as a person. And when you're relating to people, how you let your walls down. You let go of your traditions and your thought pattern and your way of believing and say, hey, I'm trying to form a connection, right? Right. Number 2, self-assessment. So I think both go together. Self-reflection, self-assessment. I think they both go together in my opinion. That's another one. I just can't remember what that other one was. Miss Leatherman, if you can remember that other one, help me out, right? So when I'm thinking about this 2020, again, vision and sight, I'm going back to what I was at the beginning. It's the ability to go beyond what you see. You can have sight and have no vision, right? But you can't have vision and not have sight, right? Right. So look, that's about my time today, y'all. Maybe I'll jump back in again soon. But look, I love you. God bless you. And manifest destiny here in 2020. Making sure that you set a vision and that your vision is clear. Look, I'm going to say this again. You got to have a vision for yourself. Have a vision for your marriage. You got to have a vision for your children and your family. Have a vision for your place of work. And what's your place of work? What is your vision for those you serve? Right? Right. People ask me, what is my vision? My vision for me is to push all of my students to become the better version, the best version of themselves. Hey, what's your vision? I love you. God bless you. Let's manifest destiny.